Joining me to talk about this is Dr. Alok Patel. He's a physician, pediatrician at Stanford Children's Hospital, and he joins me from San Francisco. Dr. Patel, this is not really a big surprise here. What stands out in your mind? Clearly, a lot of concerns here for parents.
Asya, one thing you forgot to mention is that I'm also a parent, so this really does concern me. And when I look at the broad scheme, what really stands out are the unknowns about what effects this could have on our nation's youth over time. We already know right now that with kids spending about 3 hours on average on social media per day, that can double their risk of developing symptoms of depression and anxiety. But if you look at the numbers out there of how much time kids are spending, it's about 3.5 hours. So we're already past that. And with the fact that these teen brains are developing, kids are identifying their self-worth, their people in the world who they trust and all this, and you have this flood of information. Sometimes it's bad, sometimes it's cyberbullying, sometimes it's who they're supposed to be. There's a lot we need to unpack. There's a lot of accountability and a lot more we can do to protect our kids.
Yeah, why do you think, or I don't know if this is true or not, it seems girls are more impacted, or are they, and why?
According to data and surveys, women are more impacted by this. There's still a lot we need to learn when it comes to the research, and it may have to do with the type of content that is targeted towards women regardless of their age, which is why we hear reports. I personally see this happen in the hospital setting when I talk to young women about issues with self-esteem, with the way they look, with body dysmorphia, and a lot of these issues, Asya. It's very concerning, but the one thing I don't want to take away from is there are some positives from social media use, and we do hear from adolescents of color, for example, or people who have a chronic illness, or members of the LGBTQ community who say that they have found a community they can trust, whom they identify with on social media. So there has to be a balance.
And is there a right age, Dr. Patel? You have a little girl. I have 2 daughters, and when they were teens, I have to be honest, I was not doing a whole lot of monitoring. I think they turned out okay, but what is the right age to be on social media? Apparently 40% of kids between the ages of 8 and 12 are on it.
So according to social media companies, the age they recommend is about 13, which should be the minimum age in a perfect world where kids are experiencing social media. But as you mentioned, 40% between 8 and 12 are already using it. So that is not being followed. Now, my daughter's 2. She's definitely not on social media. And I'll say your daughter's turned out great. So guess what? Kids can still use social media if they know what to look out for, they know what to report, and parents are helping them monitor their own use, but use it in a positive way. Things can go in the right direction, but we really do need to pay attention to the fact that below 13 is probably too young for all that is out there on social media.
And I know you got to run, but one final question. I thought it was interesting that they're not just talking to parents out there, but they're also talking to policymakers and companies. How likely are they to play a role in all this?
They're very likely. If we look at the fact that we see warnings and we see best practices when it comes to toys and supplements and medicine, why is that not out there? Why is this not a broader conversation when it comes to social media companies? Social media companies have a lot of power. They're making a lot of money. The onus of safety should not just be on parents and teens. There needs to be a bi-directional conversation. So we're doing everything we can. It's all hands on deck to protect youth right now because there's no way around it. We have a looming epidemic, a mental health crisis among our nation's young, and social media, unfortunately, plays a large part in that.
You're absolutely right, Dr. Alok Patel. Thank you very much.